Hello there, you're watching Nightline. I'm Anita. News making the headlines. Malaysia Digital Initiative to boost growth of nation's digital capabilities economy. And raids, audit ops underway to ensure no leakage of subsidized cooking oil. Our headlining story. The government has developed Malaysia Digital MD, an initiative to accelerate the growth of the nation's digital economy driven by three key principles, namely flexibility, agility and relevance. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the initiative via MD catalytic programs pemangkin will function holistically in transforming Malaysia's digital economy ecosystem through three strategic priorities.
Pertama, membantu memacu adaptasi digital dalam kalangan usahawan muda, syarikat dan rakyat. Yang kedua, menyokong syarikat teknologi tempatan untuk menjadi juara Malaysia, berjaya di peringkat antarabangsa. Dan ketiga, menarik pelaburan bernilai tinggi.
Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said this when launching MD and the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation MDEC Silver Jubilee celebration in Kuala Lumpur on Monday. He said the government will initially introduce two pemangkin, namely the DE Rantau and digital trade programs. DE Rantau is a program to boost digital adoption and promote professional mobility as well as drive tourism across the country with the goal to establish Malaysia as the preferred digital nomad hub. Meanwhile, digital trade will drive e-commerce and digital adoption by businesses, facilitate cross-border trade and support data exchange between businesses to boost efficiency, accuracy and credibility of cross-sector as well as cross-industry transactions. He also said that to ensure the impactful implementation of MD, the Cabinet has agreed for the Communications and Multimedia Ministry to establish the Malaysia Digital Coordination Committee, MDCC, which will coordinate MD's governance and operations, including awarding the MD status to companies. The new initiative replaces MSE Malaysia, which has driven the country's transformation into a knowledge-based economy since its inception in 1996. Also headlining news, the government has instructed law enforcers to conduct raids on manufacturers and repackaging companies along the country's borders to ensure that there is no misappropriation of subsidized cooking oil. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said comprehensive audits and legalization operations would also be conducted involving 22 manufacturers and 305 repackers of subsidized cooking oil operating across the country. In a statement on Monday, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said the raids, which would be conducted by the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry, KPDN-HEP, police and the armed forces, were aimed at ensuring this year's 4 billion ringgit cooking oil subsidies would not be leaked at any level of the supply chain and would really reach the people to help alleviate their burden. He added that stern action will be taken against errant manufacturers and packagers, including revocation of their licence and subsidised cooking oil quota. The Prime Minister also assures that the government always listens to the grouses of the people and strives to ensure that cost of living challenges is dealt through the best way possible. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri had earlier chaired the meeting of the National Action Council on Cost of Living, NACCOL, which was attended by several cabinet ministers as well as representatives from relevant agencies and non-government bodies. He said the meeting also agreed that the government would intensify the Keluarga Malaysia sales program by offering essential items at a lower price and expanding it to institutions of higher education nationwide. Meanwhile, in Selangor, the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry, KPDN-HEP, busted two premises selling cooking oil online via well-known e-commerce platforms. Both premises in Petaling Jaya and Puchong were raided by the ministry's enforcement officers at noon on Friday, based on public tip-off. KPDN-HEP Enforcement Director Azman Adam, in a statement on Monday, said the operation in Petaling Jaya involved a rented house, while the raid in Puchong involved a shop house, and both were used as storage and packaging of groceries for online sale. Checks at the first location found, among others, 255 kilograms of subsidized cooking oil in 1 kilogram packets and other groceries stored at the premises before being sold online. The premises also failed to produce any permit or document under the Control of Supplies Act to deal with the controlled goods. Meanwhile, in Puchong, the ministry's enforcement team found 27 units of 1 kilogram, 2 kilogram and 3 kilogram bottles of cooking oil stored at the premises. Azman also said authorities have recorded statements from a local man believed to be an employee at the premises in Petaling Jaya and a local woman who claimed to be the supervisor of the premises in Puchong to facilitate investigations into the case and to identify the cooking oil distribution chain involved, including information on where the cooking oil supply was obtained. The Ministry of Education, MOE, has not ruled out the possibility of teachers having falsified the results of student performances in examinations. However, Senior Education Minister Dr. Razi Jidin said he could not determine the extent of the problem. Dr. Razi said that in the past, teachers might have experienced difficulty in conducting the student assessments under the old system, in which all the evaluation elements were graded into a single component.
Tahap penguasaan ini diberikan oleh guru berdasarkan justifikasi guru itu. Jadi untuk kita kata guru ini menipu, guru ini tidak menipu, itu merupakan satu perkara yang agak subjektif, ya. Guru kadang-kadang rasa dia tertekan dan terpaksa memberikan markah berbeza dan sebagainya.
He was responding to an online article in which a former English language teacher had claimed she was forced to lie about their students' academic proficiency in order to meet her superiors' expectations. Dr. Razi, in response, said the ministry had since come up with an updated assessment system for a better overall evaluation of students' performance. He added the recently implemented assessment system had three main components: continuous assessment in class, year-end examination, and efforts by the students, which could be the answer to resolving the issue. Dr. Razi was met after officiating the 29th Education Management and Leadership National Seminar held at Institute Aminuddin Baki in Genting Highlands on Monday.
Ronaldo goes on the outside. Sancho! Still offside.
Mampukah Erik ten Hag merubah nasib United? Atau Jurgen Klopp terus lebarkan rekod Liverpool? Pertembungan pramusim dua gergasi Liga Perdana Inggeris hanya di TV9 dan Astro 149.
Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Rayayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah visited the Defence Ministry, MINDEF, on Monday. The King arrived at 11 a.m. and was welcomed by Senior Defence Minister Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Hussein, Armed Forces Chief General Tan Sri Effendi Buang, as well as other top officers from the ministry. The Negaraku national anthem was played by the combined bands of the Royal Malay Regiment before Al-Sultan Abdullah received the royal salute and inspected the Guard of Honour mounted by 4 officers and 103 men, led by Major Nurul Fauzan Mat Sabri. Al-Sultan Abdullah then signed the visitors' book, witnessed by Datuk Sri Hishamuddin and General Tan Sri Effendi. After the 30-minute welcoming ceremony, the King was briefed by senior officers on various issues. The more than 3-hour visit by Al-Sultan Abdullah ended with the exchange of greetings with the ministry's officers and staff. The visit is the first since his proclamation as the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong. The Kuala Lumpur High Court rejected Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi's request to stay the prosecution's cross-examination of him pending an outcome of an appeal ruling that the accused would not be prejudiced during the cross-examination. Judge Datuk Colin Lawrence Sakira, in his decision, said that there were no special circumstances to grant Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid's application for a stay in his corruption case. Noting that the accused is not being denied a fair trial, Datuk Sakira said that the accused has the liberty to interview the witnesses anytime. The former Deputy Prime Minister had filed the application to stay his defence's proceedings pending a decision by the Court of Appeal on his appeal, to obtain copies of the recorded statements of defence witnesses in his corruption case involving Yayasan Akal Budi funds from the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC. In dismissing the stay application, the judge said the court was bound by the precedent case involving Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak, where the federal court had denied him access to the witnesses' statements he was seeking. He said following the determinative principle in Datuk Sri Najib Razak's case in the federal court, which of course binds the court, he found that Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid had failed to meet the required threshold. As such, the application was dismissed and the trial process and cross-examination of the accused was to continue. Due to some of the accused lawyers being unwell, Datuk Sengkera adjourned the trial until Tuesday. More local updates later in the bulletin, but first, after this short break, 3 dead in Copenhagen shopping mall shooting. Don't go away.
Upstairs. Bye.
Nightline. The suspect in a weekend shooting at a Copenhagen mall that left 3 dead, including 2 teenagers, was known to mental health services. In confirming the matter, Danish police said Monday that the suspect was also known to the police, but only peripherally. Authorities could not yet comment on a motive, but said there seemed to have been preparation ahead of the attack and that the 22-year-old suspect was not aided by anyone else. During the incident on Sunday, police said the victims appeared to have been randomly targeted and there was nothing to indicate it was an act of terror. The 3 killed have been identified as a Danish teenage girl and boy, both aged 17, and a 47-year-old Russian citizen residing in Denmark. In another development, 12 bodies have been found following a shipwreck in the South China Sea over the weekend that left more than 24 crew members missing. The announcement came days after an engineering vessel 160 nautical miles southwest of Hong Kong suffered substantial damage and broke into 2 pieces during a typhoon. The incident occurred when a total of 30 crew members abandoned the vessel, Fujing 001, used for offshore wind power construction after its anchor chain broke in the typhoon. The floating crane of the offshore wind farm project was found to be in danger by a monitoring system on Saturday, which later sank. 3 people were rescued on Saturday and 1 more in the early hours of Monday, leaving 26 still unaccounted for. Rescuers have expanded the scope of their search around the point of wreckage, with medical workers dispatched on each rescue ship to provide assistance to any crew member found as soon as possible. Worshippers from across the world have packed the streets of Mecca as the city prepares to host the biggest Hajj pilgrimage since the coronavirus pandemic. Banners welcoming the faithful, the first international visitors since 2019, festooned squares and alleys, while armed security forces patrolled the ancient city. 1 million people, including 850,000 from abroad, are allowed at this year's Hajj after 2 years of drastically curtailed numbers due to the pandemic. This year, vaccinated pilgrims under the age of 65 will attend the Hajj under strict sanitary conditions, with the Grand Mosque scrubbed and disinfected 10 times a day. Saudi Arabia, which has under recent reforms permitted raves in Riyadh and mixed-gender beaches in Jeddah, now also allows women to attend the Hajj unaccompanied by a male relative, a requirement that was dropped last year. World celebrates Badminton Day for the first time this year. Sports coming up next. Don't go away.
Pada ujung sini sampai ujung sana.
Air dengan najis sekali.
Ini sama tai.
Turut disiasat dengan sebuahnya. Janganlah siasat dalam poket ini.
Kerajaan perlu mendengar.
Aduan rakyat kembali bersiaran.
Hello?
Anda hubungi
Emailkan masalah anda ke aduanrakyat@tv3.com.my beserta nombor telefon untuk dihubungi. Aduan Rakyat, TV3 ambil berat.
The Badminton World Federation, BWF, was founded 88 years ago, 5th July 1934. For this reason, the date was chosen as the day to be celebrated as World Badminton Day annually, starting from 2022. Asia is a notorious fan of badminton and a very fierce contender worldwide. And Malaysia is no exception, with histories of the Sidek brothers and successful players like Wong Peng Sun, Datuk Lee Chong Wei, Lee Zijia and others. And despite bumps along the way, Malaysia has managed to excel relatively well in the game on the global level, producing top-quality players and even winning the first Olympic medal in the sport. Ever since the Sidek brothers won Malaysia's first Olympic medals in the 1992 Summer Olympics, Malaysia has tried to send badminton players to compete in the Olympics and other major tournaments. The glory for Malaysia's badminton scene continued to shine for a while with the appearance of Datuk Lee Chong Wei. However, one concern of Malaysia's badminton industry is the lack of next-generation players that are good enough to replace Datuk Lee Chong Wei as the world's badminton champion. At the just-concluded Malaysia Open 2022, no Malaysian shuttlers made it to the finals on home ground, raising questions on the future of the sport in Malaysia. Speaking to Nightline, former national badminton player and coach Datuk Razif Sidek felt that what is needed is a closer look at training methods.
At the moment, I believe our national team is on the right track. You know, probably they have to rectify certain things, especially the training method, probably. And then we have good single players and doubles. They are performing quite well in the international events. And during this Malaysia Open, our doubles are very, very promising. They lost in the semi-finals, so I hope they can carry on, continue their best performance in the near future.
Malaysian badminton fans have harboured a lot of hope on players like single star Lee Zijia, who left the Badminton Association of Malaysia to go his own, and doubles favourite Aaron Chia and So Woo Yik.
Of course, most important now is the BM to be prudent, good governance as always, bringing or giving enough emphasis on talent development, grooming of players, putting the right setup for the coaching system, and talent scouting, you might say, and also having a larger pool of players and healthy development of badminton at grassroots levels, and which includes, I would say, BEM, about time for them to be relaxed a bit on their relationship, on their acceptance on the professional clubs. For example, Lee Zijia leaving the BM setup. Probably, I think it's about time BM work more closely and be more open towards the growth, for the sake of the overall growth of badminton in Malaysia.
Some felt that the badminton scene in Malaysia had been able to produce a new generation of quality players.
Now, if you look at the training structure in Malaysia, you find that there's been an evolution. Obviously, if you look at, for example, the Academy of Badminton in Malaysia, Petronas, that's a recent creature. And only since 1996, for instance, you have the BJSS, Bukit Jalil schools and all that. So you find these are various improvements that we made in Malaysia in terms of training, in terms of sports science and so on and so forth, which is being allowed. So one of the ways by which you need to improve the standards of badminton in this country is, of course, back to training, coaching, motivation.
With stiff competition from players in the region, Malaysia needs to continue training young talents from a very young age to produce the next generation of badminton champions and to bring Malaysia back to its glory days, especially as the globe celebrates the inaugural World Badminton Day this year, today Tuesday. On this day, national badminton federations, clubs, communities and badminton fans globally are encouraged to organise their own celebrations. Coming up after this break, 3 women and a child murdered in separate incidents. Stay tuned. An unemployed man was charged at the Klang Magistrates Court on Monday with murdering his 16-year-old girlfriend last month. 24-year-old Lee Wei-shen only nodded when the charge was read out to him before Magistrate Amirul Ashraf Abdul Rasid. No plea was recorded as murder cases come under the jurisdiction of the High Court. Lee was charged with killing the girl at his house in Kampung Idaman, Port Klang, on June 26th. The offence under the Penal Code carries a mandatory death penalty upon conviction. It was previously reported that the victim, a Form 4 student, died from suffocation after being smothered with a pillow following an argument with the suspect. The court set September 7th for mention of the case to obtain chemical, toxicology, autopsy and forensic reports. In Johor, another jobless man was charged in the Kota Tinggi Magistrates Court with murdering his girlfriend of 2 months after they met through a dating application. No plea was recorded from 32-year-old Muhammad Safwan Rizwan after the charge, framed under the Penal Code, was read to him before Magistrate Rashida Barum. It was alleged that the accused killed 35-year-old Nik Azizah Nikmah at Jalan Kota Tinggi, Kluang, near Kampung Lipat Kajang on June 1st. At the same court, he pleaded not guilty to another count under the Dangerous Drugs Act for self-administration of methamphetamine at the Kota Tinggi Police Headquarters on June 23rd. For the first charge, he faces a mandatory death sentence, while the second count provides a maximum 5,000 ringgit fine or 2 years jail if proven guilty. The court fixed August 1st for case mention. Wrapping up Nightline this time around, we take a look at the highlights from the Lawnmower World Championships at Wiltshire, England. With that, I'm Anita. Thank you for watching and be well, Malaysia.